Well, thank you for your patience. Good morning and welcome to the Summit Alliance Advantage Tuesday training. As you can see, today we're going to talk a little bit about the final expense market and really kind of focus on door knocking and the presentation here near the end. But, when we talk about final expense, it's good to just kind of briefly go over just some highlights of the market. Of course, just as they say here, what it is, who we identify when selling final expense, as far as marketing for our clients, and the two carriers that we really like, and the products with those carriers. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. It's funny. One of the comments or statements that I'll make or statistics that I'll point out when I sit down with a lot of my final expense clients, the fact that 10 out of 10 people, will pass away, and a lot of people get a chuckle out of that. So now basically, in speaking of final expense life insurance, basically it's designed to cover, of course, just that, final expenses. It's designed to cover, to put in place a small face amount policy in most cases, between $7,000 and $15,000 as it shows there. On average, the policies that I write are probably around $12,000 in most cases, between $10,000 and $15,000. And, that's going to provide the family, enough to really for their loved ones to have the financial resources to cover those expenses and make sure things do go according to plan. And, you think back where, funerals, the cost of final expenses, you could bury a loved one, for less than $8,000 and things go according to plan. And, fast forward a little bit and, now we're looking, close to $15,000 for someone to have, be buried with dignity and things to go according to plan. So, and the great thing about final expense life insurance, when in dealing with seniors in the senior market, you're going to run into a lot of medical challenges. And, the products that we have, we have access to products that cover COPD, neuropathy, heart conditions, and, of course, conditions beyond that. We do have guaranteed issue. But for the most part, you have to have products that, are accommodating for the senior market. As far as identifying who you sell final expense insurance to, this is kind of a neat little statistic. This kind of really just shows the availability of clients that need final expense. And just in this little statistic here, it's showing that the youngest baby boomer in 1999 was 35 years old and the oldest was 53. And so in 2011 of January, more than 10,000 people a day will be turning age 65, and that's going to be that way, for the next 20-something years. And it's amazing that there's that amount of people turning of age, and a large percentage do not even have their final expense taken care of yet. And the market that we sell final expense to, we're primarily dealing with seniors on fixed income, and as it states there, around or less than Social Security. A lot of times the clients are making, $19,000, $20,000, $25,000 a year. And, it's a lot easier for them to come up with $50, $60 a month than it is for their family to come up with, $10,000 or $15,000. And at the same time, in dealing in the senior market, again, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to run into clients that have medical challenges. And that's, what final expense is designed to cover. It's designed to cover these medical challenges that you run into. At that point in time, everybody has high blood pressure, diabetes, so you have to have products to cover that, and, even to a higher degree. And also, as it states there, a large percentage have not even taken care of their final expenses. This is, needed to be noted because, that means there's a lot of people to get in touch with to cover for final expense. Now, basically, briefly going over how do we market for final expense. A lot of the two ways that we get in front of our final expense clients. And, through telemarketing and primarily through direct mail. Now, telemarketing, it's a great option. I look at it as a supplement, as a way to, it's not your main course. You're not going to get full off of telemarketing, but it's a great supplement to direct mail. The leads do generate quite a bit more quickly, 5 to 7 days as opposed to, 2 to 3 weeks for direct mail. In some cases, in some areas, though, we do have direct mail leads that are readily available, through mailing that we do. But basically with the telemarketing, you know that you're going to get anywhere from 10 to 30% close rate off of your telemarketing leads. You know that when we're marketing for our telemarketing clients, the ages are between 50 and 80, incomes under 50,000, and those are generated by county. I always like to point that out and highlight that, because when you're generating telemarketed leads, you have to keep in mind that there's a thing called the do not call list. So if you have an area, just a brief example of 100,000 people, and let's say out of the 100,000, 50,000 of those meet the demographics for final expense, seniors 50 to 80, incomes under 50,000, but yet you have another 50 to 60% of those people that are on the do not call list. So that 50,000 people that you could ultimately mail to with direct mail, because there's not a do not mail list, you're not able to market to through telemarketing because you have, again, 50 to 60%, and that's in any given area. Some areas it's more than that, of people that are on the do not call list. And, so with direct mail, you're going to be able to mail to everyone. That's why those are generated by zip code. Again, that's going to keep you in a condensed area. That also goes hand in hand with the approach. Telemarketing, we train to call and set the appointment. And, again, because you're in control of your schedule, you're going to be able to set up the appointments, in the areas for that you're going to be working, because, again, if you're sitting down and you're looking at your schedule and you're generating leads by county with telemarketing, you could live in a pretty big county. If you have the benefit of a smaller county, that's great. But for the most part, telemarketing leads, they've already been reached out to through phone. So whenever you contact them, they're expecting, that contact, by phone. Whereas direct mail, they fill that out and mail it back. A lot of times they're not sure how they're going to be contacted. So when you show up with that letter in hand, they're very receptive to that. They see that, they recognize that right away. And, people are so friendly in person. So, understand direct mail, seeing is that you can generate those by zip code. So that example that I gave earlier of 100,000 people and only 50,000 meet the demographics, well, you're able to mail to all 50,000, whereas, again, as I mentioned, you cannot call all 50,000 because of the do not call list. So, that allows you to generate leads by zip code, again, because you have more data, which allows you to, handle it by the correct approach, and that is door knocking your direct mail leads. Again, you're generating those by zip code. You're keeping them in one area so you can easily route those responses out and, go see the client and get them taken care of. We do see a higher close rate with direct mail. Again, the client has taken the initiative in this. They've actually received the letter. They've thrown away the junk mail, and they've taken the time to fill it out and mail it back. Telemarketing, we do everything that we can to generate a quality lead. We record the calls. Telemarketers are not allowed to overcome any more than one objection. And, we confirm their favorite hobby. We let them know the name of the agent that's going to be in contact with them. And, of course, and as I mentioned, we do record that. So, we can verify that the client did at least have some kind of interest in having an agent contact them about final expense life insurance. But at the same time, that client, it was a lot easier for them to become a lead, if you will, because they were sitting there, they received the phone call, and, they had the conversation with the telemarketer. Whereas the direct mail, they actually decided to fill this out and mail it back. So, again, that has a lot to do with why we have a higher close rate, with direct mail, between 40 and 60% on the close rate. Real quick, we're going to talk about the approach for telemarketing, and then we're going to talk about the approach for direct mail, and then the presentation in the home. I'm going to cover the appointment setting here real quick. And, whenever you're setting your appointments, always, you need to get prepared and really get in a dominating mood on the phone, if you will, because you have to take over, because that's your schedule, that's your time. You don't want to be in a position where your clients are scheduling you. You want to put your clients in the time frames that you have available, of course, based on the schedule you have in front of you. You want to get comfortable and get relaxed. You want to get in the right mood. People want to set up an appointment with someone who is in a good mood. Also, one big thing that I find that can really slow agents down, they really don't set aside, they don't clear their schedule to set appointments. So, they have the distractions, they have other things that they can do. Set up your surroundings. Try to eliminate your distractions before you get started. Try to eliminate, the things that could possibly take you away from appointment setting. Have that time set aside. Whenever I used to set my appointments, I used to set up my appointments. I would specifically have Tuesday and Wednesday as my appointment setting days. And so, again, have that time set aside so you can really just take control of your schedule and what times you have available. Again, that's very important. Number 4 there, have your available appointment times ready to offer the clients. Because again, you want to have that confidence in the call. You want to lead your client through the process. You want to lead them to the time that you have available. Again, this kind of goes with what I mentioned earlier. You don't want to be in a position where your client is setting the appointment with you. Take notes on the times that you call so you can cover your time frames on your clients. This can be helpful, again, when you're sitting down, going through your calls. And what I mean by covering your time frames is the time, say if you call them in the morning, you may not reach them in the morning. You may not reach them in the afternoon. They may not be home until the evening. So you have to cover your time frames, when trying to reach your client. Because remember, life happens for your client. They may have responded to the telemarketing. They may have responded with the letter, but, they still have life going on. They're not just sitting there waiting for us to contact them immediately. So, be prepared to cover your time frames. Take notes on the times as you go through your appointment setting and make sure that, again, okay, I've called this person, 3 times in the morning. Maybe I should call in the afternoon or in the evening. Again, and if you, that's going to allow you to stretch your times that you call your clients. I've called clients, 8, 9 o'clock, even after that into the evening. And, and if I get them on the phone after 9 o'clock, I'm excited. Oh, Mrs. Smith, I'm so glad I got you on the phone. I've been trying to get a hold of you about the request you made for your final expense benefits, and immediately go into setting the appointment. Also, have alternative times for people with busy schedules. This is important because everyone is busy, and that's also why I give my clients the options, which I'll jump into that here shortly. You don't want to give them an open-ended, when would be a good time for me to come see you? Because ultimately they're going to say, oh, well, I'm so busy. Oh, gosh, never. So, again, you want to give them the times to choose from. That can be very important in helping you get your appointments. And again, don't get discouraged if first round doesn't fill your schedule. This is another key. Be prepared to truly work the leads. What I talked about earlier, cover your time frames, work through your leads, make sure you're calling them. Don't just call through half of your leads that you have in front of you and think that you're not going to get appointments. Call through them and call through them multiple times throughout the day. That's going to be very important in filling up your appointments. Real quick, I'm going to go into the appointment setting script. This is just a basic script. The script is available in the back office. But now this script, again, just to remind you, this is to be used for the telemarketing leads. It goes hand in hand with what our telemarketers say to the clients when they call them. Hello, may I speak to the client? Of course, Mrs. Smith. Hi, Mrs. Smith. The reason for my call is you just spoke to our representative at the Senior Care Center, and this was about your final expense benefits, and you also indicated that your favorite hobby was fishing or your favorite color is blue. Now, again, the reason I do this, and you have this information, on the leads spreadsheet that you receive, and again, you got the recording, you have the information of their favorite color or maybe their favorite hobby. So you'll notice I'm covering the first 3 identifying factors in the first sentence because I'm trying to overcome the I'm not a telemarketer objection. Because we all know when you call someone, they see a number they don't recognize. What is the first thing that they think? Oh my gosh, this is a telemarketing call. I don't want to answer it. So if you get them to answer, you want to overcome the I'm not a telemarketer right away, because if they do answer, they're reluctant to do that, and they're probably trying to get you off the phone. And they'll say anything that they can to get you off of the phone. So I know that, so I want to immediately identify that I'm not that telemarketer. I am the person that's supposed to be calling them. So when I say Senior Care Center, they've already heard Senior Care Center from the representative that initially called them. When I say final expense benefits, they've already heard final expense benefits. And when I mention their favorite color or their favorite hobby, of course, that's going to refresh their memory. Oh, yeah, I just spoke to Liz or Lisa the other day about this. That's right. And then immediately go into setting the appointment. Okay, great. This is Jason. I've been assigned to your file, and I'm going to be in your area this Friday and Saturday or whatever. Again, remember, you're schedule ready at this point, so you know what days you're going to be in their area. I only need about 10 to 12 minutes of your time to see if we can get you qualified. Would Friday at 3 o'clock or maybe Saturday at 10, which would work better for you? And again, you'll notice how I give them two options. And the reason, again, that I do that, as I mentioned earlier, I want them to pick from one of the times. It's going to be a lot easier for them to pick from one of those times. So you'll notice in this appointment setting script, in this second part, basically I let them know it's only going to be 10 to 12 minutes. I don't want them thinking it's a 3 to 4 hour typical insurance appointment. This is going to be a brief appointment to get them qualified, simple product, simple application, so very easy to get them qualified. And then which day would work best for you? Now you can do that one of two ways. You can ask them which day and then ask them a time, or you can give them the two times that you have available. Notice I said Friday at 3 or Saturday at 10. Either way, I want to give them two options to choose from. Now, I have another time available if those times don't work. Of course, I want to try and fit them in the schedule is best going to benefit, my route. And, again, so I'm going to give them the option. Pretty basic here. Now, this is something I do to solidify the appointment. A lot of times, again, when you set the appointment and hang up the phone, life happens for that person. So, I kind of try to paint a mental picture, a visual of my arrival, and I'll just do some things like I'll confirm the address with them, of course, and then I'll ask them, okay, Mrs. Smith, when I'm driving down the street and I'm looking for your address, will I see the address marked on the curb, the mailbox, or the side of the house? Okay, great. What color is the house that I'm looking for? And, so again, you can ask them a couple of things like this, and this will help, them remember or help them see you driving down the street looking for their address or looking for the color of their house, and, just a little something extra to help them remember that you're coming, and then, of course, confirm the time. Okay, great. So we said Saturday at 10 o'clock. Great. I'll see you then. When I look forward to seeing you. When I leave, we'll have you all taken care of. You have a great day. And, so that appointment's set. Pretty basic in setting the appointments. Again, this script is available. Some things that you may run into or some objections. What is this about? Normally, if you get that objection, it's because they don't, they're not recalling that call, or again, they're still in this is a telemarketer mindset. So I just simply reiterate, remember you spoke to the representative at the senior care center. You indicated that your favorite color was blue, and it was about the final expense benefits. I just simply almost repeat myself, and they're going to remember. They may not have heard me during the first sentence or what have you, or it may not have registered just yet. But again, they've spoken to someone, or I may have the wrong person on the phone. So I'm going to look at the name of the person who they talked to. Oh, well, John, maybe it looks like they spoke to Sally, your wife. This was obviously important to her. And again, this was about final expense benefits. When would be a good time for me to come see the both of you, or should I call Sally back later today? So again, if it's what is this about, just remind them, or make sure you're speaking to the right person on the phone. Well, I don't want to see anyone. I understand we see about 10 to 15 people a day, and most are reluctant to see us. We're able to help most of the families that we sit down with. The good thing, I only need about 10 to 15 minutes of your time, and I'll be in your area this Friday and Saturday. So would Friday at 6 o'clock work, or maybe Saturday at 11? So again, I'm going to give them two options. Now notice, in both of those objections, I simply overcome the objection, and I immediately give them two options to choose from again. Because more than likely, I don't want to get into the back and forth with them. I'm going to give them an option to choose from, and more than likely, they're going to choose one of those options. Well, can't you just give me the information, or can I just get a quote over the phone? Mr. Smith, I'd love to give you a quote on the phone. Believe me, that'd make my job a lot easier. But I do have to verify that you're not in a wheelchair on oxygen, and I'm going to be in your area anyway. So would Friday at 6 o'clock work, or maybe Saturday at 9? Which would work best for you? So again, immediately give them the options right after I overcome the objection, and that's going to get you a lot more appointments as opposed to getting the objection. Maybe not giving them an option, and then all of a sudden they give you another objection, and then the phone call ends. So, by overcoming the objection quickly, and giving them 2 times to choose from, that's really going to help in getting more appointments. Now, in final expense, this is really the meat of it. One of the most important parts, and I'm going to bring up one of our final expense experts to really go into this. This is really where if final expense is your market, if that's the market of focus for you, this is where what you want to become good at. You want to become good at utilizing your direct mail marketing, and you want to become good at the approach and, of course, the in-home presentation. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on the expert, Mr. B.J. Chambers. So give me a moment. I'm going to pass along the mic. Oh, just a moment. Okay. All right, guys. In final expense, top producers in final expense, really they do one thing and do one thing well. They door knock with direct mail leads. So we have you have as Jason was saying, we've got telemarketing leads. We do appointment set with those, but the vast majority of business are agents who are writing top amounts, and this is what I did when I was in the field full time, is door knocking with the direct mail leads. The reason that is because a direct mail lead is, of course, obviously you get a higher close ratio, but with a direct mail lead, you have to think about it. The person took a lot more concerted effort than any other type of lead that's available. They receive something in the mail, and we get probably maybe 15 people out of 1,000 will actually sit down, read the information, fill it out, and mail it back in. So that's a very deliberate effort on someone's part. So, but you got to get in front of them. So that's why we door knock. The reason for door knocking is it increases your chance of closing. Because number one, sometimes people will put you off over the phone, even though they mailed it in, and you get them in real time. So they just mailed it in 1 day, 2 days ago. But when they answer the phone, they don't equate your phone call. They weren't expecting your phone call. So the reason that you door knock is because it gives you a better chance of being able to sit down with that person and give them a proper presentation. So you've got a handwritten invitation. So I say a lot of agents that are a little shy about door knocking, I said, listen, you may not be, you're unexpected, but you're not uninvited. So because you've got a handwritten invitation to come out there and take care of it. So one thing to remember when you're door knocking is your primary objective is to get to the table. Okay, not to set an appointment. You may have to come back. It may not. There's some things that may stop you from being able to take care of it right then and there. But your ultimate objective is to take care of it right then and there, if at all possible. So, so 3 things. One of 3 things will happen when you knock on the door. Either A, they'll let you in and you can make the presentation. 2, it's just not a good time, or if the others, they're married and one of the spouses is not at home. So, but what you want to say when you knock on the door, and this is very important, you got to have the lead in hand, okay? Because that's your visual. You've got that invitation, so it's sort of like showing up to a party. You got to have your invitation, your RSVP. So when you knock on the door, you have the lead where they can see it, nice warm smile, and you say, "Hi, Mrs. Smith. Yeah, my name is BJ. I'm the final expense agent. You had mailed this back to us here regarding your final expense benefits you may qualify for. I was in the area. It only takes me maybe 10 or 12 minutes to go over your options with you. Do you mind if I come in?" And that's essentially what I say. Now, very simple. Now, some of the things that I noticed what I said there is I did say final expense benefits that you requested. So you want to say, "I received your request regarding the final expense benefits you may qualify for." And, if you do that with a warm smile and they're looking at their own handwriting, "Oh, yeah, I did fill that out," they'll let you in. I've door knocked on literally thousands of doors, and I can't think of a single time that someone was rude but people tend to be a little bit more standoffish on the phone. But people in person, people are a lot more friendly. They'll let you in. So just the thing you wanted to remember from this is you got to be confident. Make sure you use the lead, and body language is really important as well. So little tip, one of the things that I do is when I knock on the door, I'm expecting to come in, so I may start like wiping my feet on the mat or kind of lean forward a little bit, put the hand on the screen doorknob. So not in an aggressive sort of way, but just like, of course they're going to let me in. So I'm expecting, you get what you expect. So your body language says a lot. Now, once you get in the door, okay, we have a presentation. We're going to go over the in-home presentation. Once you get in the door, you sit down, make sure that you sit down at the kitchen table. You don't want to, sit in the living room with the TV on. You want to be free from distractions. You know, I've seen it. It's kind of hard to work when you got the Price is Right going. I don't know if that still comes on nowadays, but you got the Price is Right going. Or Judge Judy. I know that's Judge Judy comes on. So you got Judge Judy going on TV. You got, you know, the dogs jumping all over you and you sit in the living room. They're just not giving you their full undivided attention. So you need to be in a place where, and most people, when they sit down to figure out their bills, the kitchen table, unless they have an office, but, you know, most people, they sit down at the kitchen table, that's where they conduct business. So you want to go to their place of business, which would be the kitchen table. So once you get there, this is a 7-step final expense presentation. And really the thing to understand about this is that you're walking them through a process. I, you know, spoke to an agent this morning, and, you know, one of the things that we kind of talked about is this very process right here is that, you know, if you do this properly, 9 times out of 10, you're going to walk out with the business, okay? Because what you're doing is this assumes the close. If you've gone through this process, so we have someone who's mailed back in the lead, this 15 people out of 1,000, they've let you into their home, they've brought you into their kitchen table. So if they've gone through this many steps in the process, they obviously they need final expense. They know they need final expense. Again, it's not like we're selling Ferraris here. This is not a luxury item. This is a necessity. And they've gone through this much of the process. They really need it. So one of the things you want to do is, as you walk them through this process, you're assuming the close from the very beginning. So step 1 is the warm-up. Warm-up is just personal talk, okay, getting to know you. You don't just jump right in and start asking for a check. You want to build some rapport. Of course, obviously, that's kind of sales 101. One of the things that I like to do is just find some commonality. You know, maybe you see they've got grandkids that play soccer. Oh, my daughter plays soccer too. So just some things that you can find in commonality. So spend maybe 5 or 6 minutes, just kind of a getting to know you, if you will. So you understand, look, I'm an insurance professional. I'm also a person, and I'm also here to take care of your needs. Now, once you get through the warm-up, I've got the lead properly placed between the two of us there on the table. One other visual aid that I use is I actually carry a stack of applications that I have that I've written, either that day or the day before, and I put those on the table with the voided checks clipped on the front of them, so they can see that this guy's obviously writing business. So it makes people feel a little bit easier when someone else is buying. It gives them permission to buy. So that is a huge tip there. Just kind of put them out there, kind of nonchalantly, and they say, okay, well, obviously this guy must know what he's doing. So I explained what final expense is. Okay, and the way I explain it, I say, okay, Mrs. Smith, just so you understand, this type of final expense, and a lot of people, there's some confusion sometimes, but this type of final expense, if you qualify, does a couple of things. Number one, it is a first day coverage, meaning that if this policy is issued on Monday and God forbid something happens to you on Tuesday, it's going to pay the full benefits to your family. Okay. There's some other types of final expense. You may see those commercials for like a Colonial Pen with Alex Trebek, and normally you get the nod there. Well, that's what's called guaranteed issue. Now that means that there's a 2-year wait before those benefits. So you'd have to live for 2 years before your family can get the full amount of the benefit that you're paying for. This type of final expense that we're offering here is also level benefits, meaning that what your premium is now, it's going to be the same. It's never going to change. Your benefits will never go down. Your premiums will never go up. Now, there's you've probably seen those commercials for AARP insurance, right? Yeah, I've seen those. Okay, well, great. But that's what's called a term. And they say that during the commercial, but I think a lot of people don't catch that, which means it's for a period of time. And typically it's 1 to 5 years. So at the end of that term, they're going to change your coverage. And of course, obviously being older, you're going to have a significantly higher payment. So, but these type of programs that we have here will remain level for as long as you need it, because we can both agree that this only works if it's in place when the time comes, right? Right. So now that I've explained what final expense is, I go to ask the magic question. And I say, well, Mrs. Smith, now we understand, what final expense is and how it works. My question to you is who, okay? We understand the what. My question to you is who. Who are you concerned about? when you mail this card in? You know, who's the person that you're concerned is going to have to take care of your final arrangements when that time comes? And you wait for an answer. This is very important. So, and normally you'll get an answer like, oh, that would be my daughter, Susie. You know, she's got 2 boys and they're in school, and, you know, I just don't want to have her worried about, you know, how to pay for a funeral. Okay, well, that's what I'm here for, Mrs. Smith. I'm here for Susie, and I'm here for you. I'm here for Susie so that, like you said, she doesn't have to worry about how to figure out how to pay for a funeral at one of the toughest times in her life. That's the last thing she wants to be worried about. But I'm also here for you. I want to make sure that you're not burdened with premiums that are not affordable. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shop the best final expense plans that are available, and then we're going to custom tailor that to fit your budget, okay? And 9 times out of 10, I get an okay. Now, that's a soft commitment. So basically, when your client says to you then, okay, that takes a weight off of them, takes a weight off of you. Okay, great. You're going to make this very easy for me, BJ. But they've just basically committed to you saying, listen, of course, I'll buy from you today if you can get me something affordable. And, of course, 100% of the time, we can make something fit their budget. So from that point, it's downhill. Now, I want to kind of pause here real quick because this is probably the most pivotal part of the sales presentation, because if you don't get the soft commitment before talking about price, you may end up with a handful of or a ton of objections there at the end to let me think about it. You know, it wasn't really. So you need to get that soft commitment prior to going over the numbers. Now, the next thing you do is simple. You ask the health questions. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do, Mrs. Smith, in order to figure out the the best plans to qualify for, is ask you a few questions here regarding your health. Okay, and then I'll go through and ask them what medications they're taking, and basically I will paraphrase the questions on the application. I don't ask all the questions because they're going to be asked during the telephone interview, so you don't want to have them ask the same questions verbatim twice. But ask health questions, and what I'll do then is say, okay, great, and it's always great. So regardless if they qualify for a graded death benefit, they qualify for whatever they qualify for, but it's great news. So great news, Mrs. Smith, I get you qualify for Royal Neighbors. This is actually the same policy that my mom has. And I can say that pretty much about every carrier that I have in my bag, because there's a family member that has a policy with every insurance carrier I have. So I can say that and be truthful about it. So that's another little nugget there. Make sure you cover your own family. So great news, Mrs. Smith, you qualify for the Royal Neighbors plan. That's our premier plan. And so what I've done is I've taken the liberty of working up a couple of options for you based on your age and your profile, okay? Now, understand, you may qualify to get up to $25,000 with this, but what I've worked up is the options that are usually more suited for someone your age and your profile. So what you have here is option number 1. You can get $5,000 in coverage. Immediate death benefit level premium is only $36.19 a month. Okay, you've got $10,000 here, which would be $51.36, and then you've got $15,000, which would be $72.31. Now, looking at these options, so I want to offer the options, guys. I'm at number 6 here. Now, looking at these options, which one works best for you and for your budget? Now, 8 times out of 10, you're going to get they're going to pick one on the page. And typically, when I put the options down, I like to keep the middle option around $50, okay, between $50 to $60, because that's kind of the average premium for final expense. Or they may say, well, how much would the $25,000 be? Obviously, they can afford more than what's on the page there. But I want to give them 3 options. It's the options code, so this way, because when you ask open-ended questions, it makes people, there's too many things, too many variables there for them to have to think about. So when they can see options there, 8 times out of 10, they'll pick one. So 3 things will happen. Either A, they'll pick one, which is what happens most of the time. B, they'll ask another probing question, something just completely just asking about the coverage, or they'll ask for a different amount. So, but once they choose one, then your closing statement for me, I'll usually say something like, okay, great, I just need to see your driver's license. Have them with the driver's license, their medication, and we fill out the application process. And it's really that simple. There's a couple of things you want to remember here in the in-home presentation. Number one, like I said, when you're doing out confidence, right? So I assume with every single person I sit down with that of course I'm going to get them covered. They need it. It's my responsibility. So the one thing you don't want to do, which is kind of sales 101, is you don't want to come in there with your need, because if you sit down needing commission, that's going to bleed through and you're not going to get the sale. So you come in with the intent on helping this person, knowing that you're going to help them, and then you'll be able to walk through the process. So be confident. Make sure, again, that critical part, that you get that soft commitment before you get into the numbers part of it. And just it's a process. What you're doing when you walk in that house is you're not making a sale. You're assisting them to get their final expenses taken care of. And a byproduct of that is a nice commission, guys. So that is our presentation for today. Thank you guys for tuning in.